This video provides an understanding of the market for solutions supporting planning and performance management in the manufacturing sector. This video will address 4 questions as it relates to this market. How are the markets changing? How are manufacturing specific solutions different? What critical capabilities do they have that others don't? And how should these factors affect your strategy? This video series includes a current state segment that concludes with this slide. It shows that financial and operational challenges are highly interconnected in complex manufacturers, and that avoiding capability gaps requires greater integration of strategic, financial, and operational processes and enabling technologies. One of the first places where selection processes begin is with technology analysts. They typically use some sort of framework to evaluate vendor solutions and present results. An example of one is shown on the screen. In this case, the top right quadrant represents the leaders. These market analyses are typically developed for individual types of applications. For example, separate ones would be available for corporate performance management, sales and operations planning, and project and portfolio management. Corporate performance management, in turn, would include a number of different application types, such as budgeting, forecasting, and other financial planning and performance management applications. These analyses answer a number of fundamental questions that should be addressed as part of any solution assessment. For example, do vendors support basic needs? Is their platform technically stable? And are vendors reliable and financially viable? These market assessments provide a good starting point for companies as they begin to assess solutions for their organizations. However, these assessments are industry agnostic and not manufacturing specific. Much emphasis is placed on technical integration versus business integration, and they focus on functional applications, as we've just seen, rather than broader enterprise management processes. Provided on the screen is an example of what a more manufacturing, process, and value-centric market evaluation looks like. Its focus is on the 2 factors that differentiate the value of planning and performance management solutions, they being the maturity of planning model logic and cost and performance management. These 2 capabilities are what drive forward visibility into financial and operational risk, as well as cross-functional coordination and governance. When viewed from this perspective, it can be seen that traditional corporate performance management and sales and operations planning applications have very different maturity levels and value propositions when compared to applications that support more integrated and manufacturing-specific planning and performance management approaches. In complex manufacturing settings, the modeling capabilities of traditional corporate performance management solutions are not always as strong as manufacturing-specific ones. See the chapter on manufacturing logic for more details about this. And their capability for supporting cross-functional coordination is not always as strong as well, particularly in older CPM tools, where separate applications are provided for planning, budgeting, balanced scorecard, activity-based costing, and project and portfolio management. In complex manufacturing settings, gaps in sales and operations planning tools also begin to appear. Some have better models than others for supply planning, especially those that have optimization tools. However, these models typically don't address the organization as a whole. These tools also have limited capabilities for making meaningful improvements to cross-functional coordination. While they provide some cross-functional insight, they do little to improve how organizations allocate and reallocate resources through budgeting and forecasting processes. Some vendors provide both corporate performance management and sales and operations planning tools. Now, they would argue that the combination of these tools can support mature integrated planning. In smaller organizations, this may be true, but in larger ones, it's not. Integration of these tools provides only marginal improvements. This topic is addressed in other video chapters, especially the one on manufacturing model logic. This same issue arises with strategic corporate performance management, a term describing corporate performance management solutions that support organization-wide transformation and growth. Without the proper integration capabilities, strategic corporate performance management solutions often offer little in the way of step-change process improvements. Now let's explore this in a little more detail in the slides that follow. What's illustrated at the top of this screen are 2 types of applications that comprise strategic corporate performance management, they being corporate finance and strategy. Now, some vendors would claim to support strategic corporate performance management by virtue of the fact that they provide all of the individual applications. However, for manufacturers, this is an incomplete picture. For example, sales and operations planning plays a critical role in driving more mature financial processes, and operational finance plays an equally important role in supporting growth across complex supply chains. In fact, operational finance is almost forgotten when it comes to evaluating corporate performance management solutions. In complex manufacturers, there are 4 capabilities that are critical to driving more strategically oriented processes. The nature of these structures and processes are addressed in other video chapters. The point here is that without them, few incremental capabilities are created by attempting to combine individual applications into a process. So going back to the slide that we started with, these 4 capabilities are ones that manufacturers need to understand as they define strategic, financial, and operational planning and performance management processes, not just for maximizing the value of these processes, but also for minimizing their costs. An important point to make here is that integrated and manufacturing-specific approaches can have vastly different costs, especially when viewed from the perspective of the total cost of ownership over the life of the process and enabling technology. For example, in some organizations, one integrated application will suffice rather than 2 or more. What's more, integrated applications eliminate a host of non-value-add activities. Now, this cost issue will be addressed in more detail in subsequent video chapters. Let's circle back to the questions that were identified at the beginning of this video. After viewing it, you should have an appreciation for the answers to the following questions. How are the markets changing? How are manufacturing-specific solutions different? What critical capabilities do they have that others don't? And how should these factors affect your strategy? Thank you for watching this video. Further details about its contents can be obtained using the contact information provided on the screen.